Hi, this is Friar Tim talking to you from my office here at Newman. As we come approaching to the end of the fiscal year, just some observations, thoughts, and frankly, some concerns that I wanted to share with you. Let me start by sharing my screen for just a moment here. There we go. And to share some good things that are going on at Newman, which we all know, but it's probably a good idea that we remember these things. First, we are extremely lucky to have vibrant and inspirational liturgy from all the components that make up our weekend liturgical experience. Secondly, we have a campus ministry that forms student leaders and creates a very enthusiastic community here at Newman. Third, we have a continuing formation program that fosters discipleship via spirituality and practice, via catechetical formation, theological discussion, etc. Fourth, we have a regular and very growing commitment to service, solidarity, and justice. Fifth, we have a formation program for children and youth, which leads them to a deeper level of faith. Going outside of programming, we have a well-maintained and suitable infrastructure, 2 buildings, 2 parking lots, a Realm database, a Realm online platform agency, websites, etc. And finally, we produce creative and interesting print and online publications. All these things people have commented on positively over the course of the years, and they're all true. We do these things very well. As you all know, these things require staff and, frankly, financial resources to make them happen. And it's those financial resources that I'd like to spend some time going over with you. Our financial history in the recent past, basically since I've arrived, in fiscal year 2019-2020, which, as you know, was in the fullness of COVID, we had a budget surplus of $471,000. How did we get that? Well, our operating costs were lower because we were closed much of the year. Secondly, we received a substantial amount of money from the federal government in the payroll protection program. Third, the Diocese of Raleigh reduced its fiscal expectations on us in a significant amount of COVID relief. In the next year, slowly coming out of COVID, fiscal year 2021, we ran a budget deficit, a loss of $62,000, despite on-budget operating costs. Due to COVID, we kept to our COVID budget, and we had some residual payroll protection program funds. We also fully met all of our mortgage obligations that year. This year in which we are now, fiscal year 2021-2022, we are expecting an anticipated budget deficit of over $100,000. We plan on fully meeting our mortgage obligations, but we are expecting, and I and the Finance Council have been monitoring, a budget shortfall. Now, again, don't worry excessively, because we can absorb these deficits thanks only to very recent, generous windfall bequests that have kept us in a very positive flow state financially. So please remember all of our parishioners and friends who have generously remembered us in their wills and in their bequests. The bottom line is, it seems like we are living beyond our means. The second point to keep in mind is that, as I have been sharing with you via telecoms, our attendance after COVID has not bounced back. it remains somewhere between the 55 and the 65% of pre-COVID attendance. Our offertory particularly shows that same level of slump. We've done some looking at our financial situation here. With 700 households on the books, only a small percentage of that, less than half, actually contribute 90% of the income that it needs to keep Newman going. If we wish to keep the fine programming that we have, and particularly the staff that administers and runs these fine programs, we may all have to kick in a little bit more money. It's an inescapable fact. As we progress further and further away from the COVID shutdown pandemic, it is less and less likely that our numbers will return to pre-COVID levels. That simply means that the fewer of us that are here, if we wish to keep Newman at its current level of service and programming, are going to be asked to be more generous. In the next several weeks, our Director of Advancement, Therese Taxis, will be working the phones really in three significant areas. First, an outreach to those people that we have not seen to ascertain, do they still consider themselves a part of the Newman community? Have they physically moved? Have they moved to another parish? Or have they joined the growing ranks of the disaffiliated? Secondly, to those parishioners who are active and are coming, but are not on Realm's recurring giving platform, we will be making a particular request to join that recurring platform. There's a spiritual reason for this and a practical reason for this. The spiritual reason is if you commit yourself automatically to give a certain amount of money back to God via the church, whether you attend Mass or not, how regularly or irregularly you do that, that offering continues to come to the church, and it is not dependent upon remembering to put money in your wallet or remembering to drop something off in the offertory box in the narthex. Secondly, recurring gifts allows us to budget much more accurately, because then we have a clear sense of the amount of money that is coming in. So the second category, Therese will be asking to get on to the recurring giving program. And I thank you in advance for your generosity and commitment to doing that. Third, Newman's regular, sustaining, recurring donors to you who bear a disproportionate brunt of the financial obligation of keeping this parish community and its campus ministry going. I thank you heartily from the bottom of my heart. I will also be asking you, if you have been, your giving level has been somewhat flat for the last few years, given the question of inflation and the rising costs, and I know this is hitting everybody else, much the same way it's hitting me in the Friary, much as it's hitting our energy costs here to keep Newman heated, air-conditioned, and lit. Notwithstanding all of this, I will be asking you if you could consider a sacrificial bump up of your giving at a 10% level. This money, we would ask that it go either into the offertory fund or into the mortgage and debt relief fund, both of which have been suffering somewhat from lowered giving in the last few years. Again, I'd like to say I consider this to be an honest and transparent and sober reflection on where we are. It is not alarmist. It is, however, serious. And I would ask you to be responsive and prayerfully consider your level of giving to us here at Newman so that we continue our mission. God bless and thank you for that. And I also entrust myself, Friar Bill, and all of the friars who will be at Provincial Chapter next week. I entrust all of us to your prayer and your intercession. God bless you and thank you.